I'm Kelly Jennings, CEO of PowerBand Solutions. PowerBand is a cloud-based provider of auction, inventory, and finance solutions that make buying, selling, and financing vehicles more efficient. PowerBand Solutions trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol PBX and on the OTCQB symbol PWWPF and on Frankfurt symbol 1ZV. For more information, please visit us at powerbandsolutions.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sean Brodrick, Senior Editor for WeissRatings.com. Welcome back to the show, Sean.
Thanks very much for having me on.
Sean, what do you feel is driving just about everything in the markets right now?
It has to be the U.S. dollar, which has really been falling from grace. It's testing support right above 95 now. Right under 96. And if that fails, then it's going to fall to 95. And this is the U.S. dollar index. This isn't the U.S. dollar against any particular currency. It's against a basket of currencies. It's mainly its action with the euro, though. And here's what's happened is that there was so much bad news priced into the euro that now it's having a relief rally, and that's kind of pushing the dollar lower. At the same time, the Fed has really backed away from any interest rate hikes. In fact, many traders now pricing in the next move by the Fed being a cut. And so that's also removed support from the U.S. dollar. So as the U.S. dollar goes lower, things that are priced in the dollar go higher. That includes gold, silver, oil, the stock market. That's the main driver of what we have been seeing lately.
So what do you think is going to happen to gold if the U.S. dollar starts to slowly slide away?
Well, I'm really watching support in the U.S. dollar index around 95. That's really line in the sand. And if that breaks, then you are going to see much higher gold prices. So I'm watching that. I expect it to be tested. It was tested back in the beginning of January and then again in late January. And now we're going back there again. So we're just going to have to see what happens. But I don't want to make any predictions because I have been wrong. I mean, I've been more bullish on gold than apparently I should have been. But I will point out that despite the fact that gold has been stuck in a very tight range for over a month, gold miners have actually been doing quite well, or at least the ones that I've been buying. They've actually been zigzagging their ways higher. So I think the way people should play this should be to wait for a pullback in like the good gold miners and then pick those up, because despite the fact that gold has been going sideways, the miners have been zigzagging higher. So when gold really does break out, that should be a boom time for select miners.
What about other precious metals?
Silver I like here. Palladium, of course, is making new highs. That's mainly due to it being an industrial metal. And apparently, everyone and their brother in the world wants a car. Platinum, it's still platinum. We'll just have to see how things do there. I mean, it's off its lows. That's the good thing. I mean, back in February, platinum was under $800 an ounce, which is, that's darned low. It's now about $854. It's underperforming compared to the other precious metals, and that's because, again, it's mainly due to its industrial uses, which is in the catalytic converters of those vehicles that have diesel engines. That's certainly the most undervalued of the metals right now. But I think if I had to pick one right now, it would have to be silver. I think silver looks good. It did pull back, did test close to 15 again. So I think this is a cheap place to pick it up because I think it's going over 16 pretty soon. And when it does, that's going to be a nice move percentage-wise.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after this.
I'm Douglas Mason, CEO of Naturally Splendid, symbol NSP on the TSX Venture Exchange. Naturally Splendid is a biotechnology and consumer products company focused on the global cannabis and health markets. Naturally Splendid is expanding distribution in this rapidly growing market with products currently in Canada, the USA, South Korea, Germany, and Australia. To view our comprehensive company presentation and for more information, please visit our website at naturallysplendid.com.
Cypress Development Corp's flagship lithium project is located just east of Albemarle's Silver Peak mine in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. A 12-hole exploration drill program for lithium-enriched claystone on Cypress's 100% controlled properties is now underway. Cypress Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the Pink CYDVF, and on Frankfurt C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, we're still seeing acquisitions and mergers in the cannabis space. Why is that going on, and is it a positive place?
Yeah, we recently made some money in cannabis stocks. I hope to do it again, but I'll have to buy some more. I think that cannabis is definitely a business you should be looking at right now. Some stocks are overvalued. I mean, if you want to talk about Canopy Growth, sure, it's the biggest, but I also think it's overvalued. Some create a lot of shares. Aurora Cannabis, which is one we made money on recently, that is kind of a problem, the fact that there's so much share creation and therefore dilution in a big company like that. But on the other hand, we are seeing things start to roll together, and there's now going to be legalization in the U.S., in New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, and those are two big states. So any companies that are leveraged to potential rollout of legalization there should probably do well. Florida seems to be fits and starts stumbling toward actual legalization. That's a huge state. So there's a lot going on that's quite good. Unfortunately, California is still a socialist paradise, so they seem to keep shooting themselves in the foot when it comes to cannabis legalization there. And by that I mean overtaxing and too much red tape. So they're not actually making it worth people's while to grow pot legally there. It's still grown illegally. It's huge amounts. But I think the overall outlook for cannabis is quite good, especially if, and this is happening, the U.S. Congress is able to pass some kind of legislation to make cannabis a business that the big banks can do. And that's something they're working on now. They're working on loosening up the regulations on banks so they can actually handle money from companies that actually grow cannabis. So if that happens, it'll be great. It'll again move things on and all this stuff. I think there's still plenty of upside. I still think it's early days because cannabis isn't legal on a federal level. Of course it's early days. So I don't think you should chase anything, but I think you can buy the pullbacks, and I think that's the way you should play it.
Do you think whoever gets the Democratic nomination should be a pro-legal pot person?
Yes, but I also have to tell you that odds favor Trump winning a second term, just for all sorts of reasons. History shows us that presidents who win a first term almost always win a second term. And economically, the economy's, charging along, doing great and all that stuff that makes people happy. So odds favor Trump being elected to a second term. People should at least be prepared to deal with it and not freak out if that actually happens.
Is Trump in favor of legal pot deep down? Because I know he's pro-business.
Well, he's pro anything that'll make him a buck. I don't see how he makes money on pot. And there are, large groups that lobby to keep pot illegal. Many of the drug companies want to keep pot illegal for their own reasons. So I don't see him moving on that issue one way or the other. I don't think he wants to tick off a large slice of the American electorate, those people who do favor legal marijuana. But on the other hand, I think he wants to keep the huge donors in the drug industry happy. And so I think that he'll chart a middle ground, actually.
Yes, because I recall in Colorado and Washington State, the proponents against legalized pot were the major alcohol and tobacco companies.
I know. They actually set up these false grassroots groups, and of course, your listeners can't hear it, but I'm putting air quotes around grassroots, you know? This is supposed to be local people who are actually opposed to legalizing marijuana, but it's completely funded by the big drug companies. And that's what we saw over and over again, because they don't want pot legal, because pot will handle many of the ordinary aches and pains people have. It also helps some conditions that are only treatable by expensive drugs. So for all those selfish reasons, large drug companies do not want to see marijuana legal, and they will fight it tooth and nail.
And as long as your health care is still private, people tend to want to use the cheapest alternative to cure or treat whatever they have.
Right, but, I don't think that will change either. Again, I expect President Trump to win a second term. This does not indicate my preference in this one way or the other. I'm just looking at things as a hard-eyed, analyst. And just the odds favor a second term for Trump. And so I think, maybe it'll surprise us one way or the other. But I expect him to have a second term, which means probably more gridlock in Washington. And the real problem is that if that gridlock boils over, if it turns into public unrest, which is also possible, then we'll have to keep an eye peeled for that. But that's probably not something Canadians really care about. It's more, they're probably more interested in what happens in the trade deals, right? And there may be some relief coming in that. Looks like we're hammering out a deal with China, though it seems to be fits and starts. They keep promising and then under-delivering, but at some point they'll get there. Then I think the next thing they have to do is look at those trade barriers they've raised with countries like our good friend Canada and say, well, who is this really hurting? And what is it really accomplishing? And so I think we could have some rollback there as well.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after this.
Grand Portage Resources recently completed the 2018 drill program on its 100% controlled Herbert Gold Discovery property located in the prolific Juneau Belt in southeast Alaska. Drill results are expected through late 2018. Past drill results included numerous multi-ounce gold assays on multiple veins. Grand Portage trading symbols are GPG on the TSX Venture, GPTRF on the OTCQB, and GPB on Frankfurt. For more information, please visit our website, grandportage.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with Sean Brodrick. Sean, what's your feeling on crude oil?
I think crude oil looks pretty good here. We keep seeing OPEC and the expanded OPEC, which includes countries like Russia and like stuff like that. I believe they call that group OPEC Plus. Well, they're actually showing some real discipline in how they're approaching their production. I think and let's be honest, the real disruptor in this is the United States, because United States production and exports have hit such highs. That is really weighing on the profits of the OPEC nations, because we are exporting much more of the one thing they can actually export. But they are showing some real discipline, cutting back their production, cutting back their exports. Now, there is going to be a tiff coming up where the U.S. is going to try and stop Iranian exports. OPEC, led by the Saudis, says, and believe me, the Saudis have no love for the Iranians, but they're actually making a point of law, saying there's no way you can actually stop those exports. The U.S. believes it can. So that could add some uncertainty, some fear into the market. If that does enter the market, then that, along with other things, could send prices higher. And then we have the falling U.S. dollar, which you and I talked about. So add those things together, and I think we are going to see higher prices. I mean, certainly the price of the U.S. crude oil benchmark will go over 60, maybe to 65. Brent, which is at 67 recently, that could definitely go up to 75. So we'll see how things go. Now, do I think there's going to be some kind of runaway price appreciation? No, because there is extra production that can be brought online that will happen if the price goes too high. They like having higher prices, but even more than that, they like having stable prices because then they can make budgets and like that kind of thing. So I think this is a great environment to be investing in the right oil companies. I've been steering my subscribers towards some. I like those big fat dividends, We're doing very nicely with that. And so I think things look good.
Also, too, gasoline prices were told in the Vancouver area could rise to $1.62 a liter. You figured it out. It was well over $6 a gallon. And, and of course, every spring, there's the annual refinery fire explosion, and Houston has lived up to that, where they've got the massive tanker farm fire underway right now.
Yeah, ITC owns that one, and it is just making it impossible for people in Houston to breathe. I mean, it's an awful situation. I feel bad for anyone who's actually down there. But yeah, like you said, it happens every spring. That also, squeezes the whole supply situation for a little bit, but I don't think it's anything insurmountable. They'll certainly handle this as they have every year when something like this happens, because they have this very combustible stuff in a very dangerous place, so of course this is going to happen. So yeah, that happens every spring, as you said.
Sean, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you. Had a great time.
My guest has been Sean Brodrick, Senior Editor for WeissRatings.com. If you have any questions for Sean or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. Our YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.